What if I told you there exists a timeless, invisible library, a vast cosmic archive containing the entire history of your soul? Every thought, every choice, every hidden truth, all recorded in a realm beyond time itself. This is not science fiction nor fantasy. It's the mysterious, profound reality of the Akashic Records. Today, we're diving deep into this ancient secret, unlocking its real meaning, the hidden wisdom it holds, and how it can transform your life. Before we step through this sacred doorway, take a moment to like this video, share it with fellow seekers, and subscribe to the channel. Because what you're about to discover could change everything you thought you knew about yourself and your destiny. Are you ready to journey beyond the veil? Have you ever felt as though a whisper from the dawn of creation lies hidden beneath the surface of your thoughts? Imagine, for a moment, that every flicker of inspiration, every triumph and heartbreak, every secret longing and silent prayer has been recorded, etched into the very fabric of existence. What if there were an ancient library, more vast than any earthly archive, that holds the echoes of every soul's journey since time began? Welcome to the mystery of the Akashic Records. Tonight, we venture beyond the veil of ordinary perception and step into a realm where memory itself becomes a living force, a cosmic tapestry woven from the threads of every moment that ever was. This is not mere fantasy or New Age fancifulness. Across millennia, mystics, sages, and seers have testified to its reality, from the temples of Atlantis whispered in Plato's dialogues, to the hidden chambers of Tibetan lamas who claim to read the Book of Life, to the 19th century clairvoyants who first christened these planes the Akasha. In this journey, you will discover how ancient traditions concealed this knowledge to protect its power from misuse, and why it re-emerges precisely when humanity is ready to embrace it. The philosophical heart of the Akashic vision, where past, present, and future pulse in a timeless now, revealing the unity behind all things. Striking metaphors and forgotten myths that illuminate the nature of this living archive, why its pages cannot simply be read, but experienced. Prepare to feel the weight of countless ages shift beneath your fingertips, as we explore hidden corridors of consciousness and learn why the Akashic Records matter not only to mystics cloaked in meditation, but to every seeker striving for purpose, healing, and transformation. So dim the lights, center your breath, and open your mind, for the great cosmic library awaits. Long before the Akashic Records became a buzzword in modern spiritual circles, their essence pulsed through the myths and metaphysics of ancient civilizations, hidden not in plain sight, but in symbols, riddles, and sacred texts guarded by initiates. To understand their true meaning, we must first unearth the forgotten soil from which they grew. The term Akasha itself hails from the ancient Sanskrit language, where it means ether or primordial space. Not merely the fifth element in Vedic cosmology, Akasha was revered as the mother of all matter and memory, an invisible, formless field from which all creation arises and to which all returns. The Vedas spoke of it not as an abstract idea, but as a living intelligence, an ever-present witness that holds the vibrations of every word, deed, and emotion. In the East, Buddhist and Hindu mystics believed that those who mastered the inner path could enter Chidakasha, the space of consciousness, and perceive the karmic imprints of souls. Meanwhile, in ancient Egypt, initiates of the priesthood preserved knowledge in what they called the halls of Ma'at, not only a metaphysical concept of truth and order, but also a dimension where one's deeds were weighed and remembered. This echoed the later mystical Judaic belief in the Sefer HaHaim, or Book of Life, which recorded the actions of every soul. But what connects these seemingly separate beliefs? At their core, all point to a universal field of divine intelligence, a matrix where information is stored not as ink on parchment, but as vibration, resonance, and frequency. This is not memory as we understand it biologically, but memory as the cosmos understands it, vibrational echoes suspended in timelessness. The Greeks hinted at this through the concept of the noosphere, a sphere of thought enveloping the earth. Plato, ever the esoteric philosopher, claimed that knowledge is recollection, suggesting that the soul remembers truths it encountered before incarnation. This presupposes the existence of a realm where such truths are stored, a spiritual repository that transcends lifetimes. So why, you might wonder, has this knowledge been obscured for so long? Because power without wisdom is a double-edged sword. The ancients understood that accessing such a library of soul truths required purity of intent and disciplined consciousness. Uninitiated access to the Akasha could not only distort truth but collapse the boundary between fate and free will. To read the records carelessly is to tamper with the architecture of destiny itself. In the mystical schools of the Hermetics, in the hidden teachings of Kabbalah, and in the guarded chambers of the mystery schools of Egypt and Atlantis, access to such wisdom was only granted to those who passed through symbolic death and spiritual rebirth. To know thyself was not just a philosophical aphorism, it was a prerequisite to read the universe's most sacred book. But the tide has turned. In our era, an age prophesied by seers and sages as the time of great awakening, the veils are thinning. The Akashic Records are no longer reserved for high initiates in marble temples. They are calling out to the seekers, the dreamers, the wounded healers, and the forgotten mystics hiding in plain sight. The question is no longer if you can access them, but whether you are ready to listen to what they reveal. Imagine standing in an infinite library, not made of wood and stone, but of luminous energy. Shelves spiral upward into eternity, inscribed not with ink, but with light. The moment you step inside, the silence wraps around you like a cloak, not empty, but vibrating, alive with every thought ever thought, every word ever spoken, every action ever taken. You haven't entered a building. You've stepped into the Akashic field. But what are the Akashic Records, truly? They are not books in a literal sense, nor a dusty archive locked away in some astral dimension. The Akashic Records are a field of consciousness, a subtle vibrational realm that transcends time and space, storing the energetic imprints of every soul's journey through lifetimes. Every choice, intention, emotion, and consequence is encoded here like notes in a grand cosmic symphony. To understand this, picture the universe not as a vast machine, but as a living consciousness. Just as your mind retains memories, the universe remembers through the Akasha. It is the memory of God, the breath of the divine turned into form, echoing across dimensions. In a way, it is both the script and the stage of your soul's eternal play. The late mystic and philosopher Rudolf Steiner described the Akashic Records as a spiritual chronicle, which could be accessed through the development of inner vision. Edgar Cayce, often referred to as the sleeping prophet, consistently entered trance states and retrieved life readings from this ethereal realm. He didn't just guess or intuit, he saw. Entire lives unfolded before him, as if playing back on a multidimensional reel of consciousness. But how is this possible? Think of the Akashic Records as a quantum hologram. Every part contains the whole. The physicist Ervin Laszlo proposed a theory strikingly similar. that there exists a cosmic informational field he called the A-field, akin to the ancient Akasha, which records all interactions of matter and mind across the universe. His theory was not drawn from mysticism, but quantum physics, yet it mirrored the ancient truths whispered by sages for thousands of years. And here lies the great convergence, science and spirituality beginning to agree, that consciousness is non-local, that information is not lost, and that reality may indeed be informed by a hidden, intelligent order. But access to the Akasha is not automatic. It is not summoned by curiosity alone. Like a mirror that only reflects when the water is still, the records reveal themselves only to those who enter with reverence, humility, and alignment. Emotional noise, mental distraction, egoic striving, these are the static that cloud the signal. One must learn to tune their consciousness, to resonate with the frequency of truth. When this happens, the veil parts. Visions come unbidden. Knowings arrive without thinking. Time unspools and the past becomes alive, not as memory, but as direct experience. Accessing the Akashic Records is less about learning and more about remembering. It is soul language, spoken in symbols, feelings, flashes of insight. You may not read the records in a linear, left-brain fashion. Instead, you feel them, you absorb them. They emerge in dreams, synchronicities, sudden realizations. They speak through archetypes, myth, and inner knowing. Let us be clear, the Akashic Records are not merely a tool for curiosity. They are a sacred mirror. When you gaze into them, they do not just show you who you were, they reflect who you are becoming. They reveal soul patterns, karmic contracts, unfinished lessons, hidden gifts, and untapped destinies. In this sense, they are not static records. They are dynamic, living, breathing intelligence that evolves with you. They are not a book written in stone. They are a dialogue. A sacred exchange between your higher self and the infinite wisdom of the cosmos. And yet, even with all of this, the Akashic Records are not infallible commandments. They are possibilities, probabilities, paths, not prisons. You are still the author of your life. The records do not dictate, they illuminate. So then, what does it mean to read them? It means learning to listen at the level of the soul. It means aligning your heart with the universal rhythm. It means standing still long enough, brave enough, open enough to receive the truth, even when that truth shatters your illusions. If the Akashic Records are a library of light, then the truths within them are encoded not in words, but in vibration, symbol, and feeling. The moment you step further into this energetic dimension, the human mind begins to stretch. Language falters. Linear time begins to unravel. And what remains is a sacred encounter between being and knowing. This is where the Akashic Records begin to reveal their paradoxical nature. The records are said to contain all that has ever happened, and yet they are not chained to the past. They hold the blueprints of future possibilities, yet they do not predict your fate. They are both mirror and map. They do not dictate, but they do illuminate. The paradox lies in this: you are both the reader and the writer of what is found within. And that is what most people misunderstand. Many approach the Akashic Records as if consulting a divine script, hoping to discover that everything is pre-written, that their destiny is carved in ether, and that all they must do is decode it. But the truth is far more empowering, and far more demanding. The records reveal not a fixed destiny, but a field of choices, each vibrating with its own consequences and lessons. Like musical notes waiting to be struck, each decision carries a resonance, an echo that ripples through your life and beyond. When one accesses the records with clarity, one does not receive a command, but an opportunity to choose with conscious awareness. This is why the ancient mystics guarded access to these truths. Without spiritual maturity, the records could be misused, not as a means of liberation, but as a form of escapism or control. To seek only to know the future or understand others through the Akashic realm, without accountability, is to misuse sacred power. The true initiate comes not to control fate, but to commune with wisdom, to understand the deeper currents guiding their evolution. Let us now debunk a few common myths that cloud the nature of the Akashic Records. Myth 1. The records are only accessible by psychics or special people. False. Access to the Akasha is not about psychic prowess, it's about resonance. Every soul has access, because every soul is recorded. The key is vibration. One must raise their frequency through meditation, prayer, presence, and integrity. The cleaner the inner vessel, the clearer the signal. Myth 2. The records only concern past lives. Only partly true. Yes, many seekers enter the Akashic field to uncover past incarnations. But the records also reveal soul contracts, current life blockages, ancestral patterns, and even future potentials, not as certainties, but as probable realities shaped by current choices. Myth 3. The records speak in words and voices. Rarely. The Akasha often speaks in symbols, archetypes, emotions, sudden clarity, or dreamlike imagery. It's a multidimensional language. That's why interpretation is key. It requires intuition, grounded discernment, and a heart-centered approach. In fact, this symbolic, almost cinematic language is why so many mystics throughout history have described their experiences as visions, flashes of ancient temples, wheels of light turning in the heavens, or scrolls written in golden fire. These are not literal places, but energetic codes being translated through the seer's mind in ways they can comprehend. Let us also consider one of the most overlooked aspects of the Akashic Records. The Earth has her own record. Just as individuals carry soul imprints, so too does the planet. Her rocks, rivers, trees, and sacred sites store memory. Ancient civilizations, such as those of Lemuria, Atlantis, and the early Vedic cultures, were deeply attuned to this. They built temples on ley lines where the veil was thin, and the Earth's memory could be read. The pyramids of Giza, the stone circles of Britain, the oracle sites of Delphi, all were constructed not randomly, but upon nodes of Akashic resonance. This planetary record is why sacred sites hold power. They echo with the accumulated intention, prayer, and knowledge of those who came before. One does not need to travel across the globe to feel this, however. With stillness and sincere inquiry, even your own home can become a threshold. The Akashic Records are, in truth, everywhere and nowhere, for they exist not as a place, but as a state of consciousness. They open not to the eyes, but to the soul. They are not unlocked by force, but by frequency. To enter the records is to walk through a doorway within yourself, into a hall where the soul's memories whisper softly behind every heartbeat. And the deeper you go, the more you realize, you are not just reading the records. You are the record. Now that we've peeled back the layers of mysticism and myth surrounding the Akashic Records, the question becomes deeply personal. How can you access them? How can you translate the ineffable into something useful, something transformational in your everyday life? The truth is, entering the Akashic field isn't about escaping this world. It's about deepening your engagement with it. The wisdom you receive is only as powerful as your willingness to live it. Let's begin with the first and most sacred principle. Intention is the key. The Akashic Records do not respond to idle curiosity or ego-driven seeking. They are not a crystal ball. They are a mirror for the soul, and they open in resonance with your sincerity. Before any technique, before any method, there must be reverence. You begin not by asking how to access the records, but why. Do you seek healing? Clarity on your soul's purpose? Understanding of repeating patterns in your life? Or simply a deeper communion with the divine? Let your question be a doorway, not a demand. Creating the sacred space. Before you enter the Akashic field, your physical space must reflect your internal state. Cleanse the area, physically and energetically. Light a candle. Burn incense. Place a sacred object nearby, a crystal, a feather, a symbol of your path. Then, sit in stillness. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly and deeply. Visualize a column of golden white light descending from above your head, anchoring you to both heaven and earth. With each breath, allow your energy to become centered and expanded. Now speak a clear invocation from the heart. You can use a traditional Akashic prayer, such as those shared by mystics like Linda Howe or Edgar Cayce, or create your own with authentic intention. For example, I now call upon the light of divine source to surround me. I open my heart to the records of my soul. May only truth, wisdom, and love enter this space. I come in humility, not to control, but to listen. Entering the field. Once the space is created and your intention is spoken, become receptive. This is not a process of forcing answers, it is a process of deep listening. You may receive information in many forms: visuals, images, scenes, symbols, or even memories from other lifetimes. Feelings, emotional impressions tied to soul lessons or karmic patterns. Words/phrases, sudden insights, repeating words, or inner voice whispers. Knowing, a sense of certainty that bypasses logic. The more you practice, the clearer your channel becomes. Do not rush. Do not demand clarity immediately. The Akasha speaks in layers, and sometimes the answers unfold over days or even weeks. Questions to ask. Approach the records as you would a wise elder, not with triviality, but with reverence. Here are some powerful questions to begin with. What am I here to learn in this lifetime? What karmic patterns am I repeating that I need to heal? What gifts have I brought from past lives into this one? What is blocking my soul's growth right now? How can I deepen my connection to divine purpose? Avoid questions about controlling others, predicting outcomes, or seeking fame or wealth. The records respond most powerfully when your inquiry is rooted in truth and love. Integration and grounding. Once your session is complete, thank the records. Thank your guides, the field, and your own soul for its openness. Always ground afterward. Drink water. Walk barefoot. Journal what you received. Even if it seems abstract or unclear, write it down. Much of the Akashic language bypasses the conscious mind and settles into your being like seeds. They may bloom later, in dreams, synchronicities, or moments of unexpected clarity. Spiritual hygiene and ethical wisdom. Accessing the Akashic field is sacred work. Never enter the records for others without their explicit permission and spiritual consent. Even then, tread lightly. You are not there to diagnose, you are there to witness. What you see must be filtered through love, compassion, and humility. Also, be aware of energetic exhaustion. Working in the Akasha can be intense. Rest, cleanse, and allow integration time. You are moving between dimensions, and your nervous system must be treated with care. The true power of the Akashic Records lies not in accessing exotic knowledge, but in how that knowledge transforms you. When you begin to live in alignment with what you discover, healing the patterns, honoring your path, and embodying your purpose, you become a living scroll of the divine. Your very life becomes a sacred record for others to witness. And perhaps that is the deepest mystery of all, that even now, as you read these words, your soul is writing new lines in the book of life. As we draw the veil back on the Akashic Records, one truth shines clear. This ancient wisdom is not some distant relic locked away in forgotten temples or the secret vaults of mystics. It is a living, breathing field of consciousness that pulses within and around us, a sacred memory woven into the very fabric of existence. The records invite us to step beyond the confines of linear time, to move beyond the illusion of separation, and to realize that our souls are eternal travelers in a grand cosmic tapestry. Here lies a profound paradox. You are both the seeker and the sought, the reader and the record itself. To access the Akashic Records is to embark on a sacred journey inward, one of humility, courage, and profound transformation. It is not a quest for certainty, but a dance with mystery, not a search for answers, but a communion with wisdom. The records do not bind you to fate, but illuminate the infinite possibilities before you. They show the patterns that hold you back, the gifts you carry forward, and the paths yet untraveled. And so, the real meaning of the Akashic Records unfolds in your lived experience, the way their insights ripple through your thoughts, your actions, and your relationships. When aligned with this cosmic knowledge, your life becomes a beacon, a sacred text written in love, growth, and truth. But here is the greatest invitation. Will you dare to step through the doorway? Will you silence the noise of the mind and open your heart to the whispers of eternity? The records await, patient, luminous, and eternal. And when you are ready, they will reveal themselves, not as secrets to be possessed, but as truths to be lived. If this journey into the Akashic realm stirred something deep within you, I invite you to share your thoughts, experiences, or questions in the comments below. Let us explore this vast cosmic library together. And if you feel called to dive deeper, be sure to subscribe and join our community, where ancient wisdom meets modern awakening. Until next time, may your path be clear, your heart open, and your soul ever radiant.